Hey y'all, this is Maelstrom MTG back again after a long break. Apologies for that. A few quick notes before we get into our video. First is that I apologize for that long break. A laundry list of excuses. I'm just going to hop into the video. But I do have a new setup. I do have this new microphone given to me by my brother. And if you want to go check him out, I'm not sure how much he's recording anymore, but he is sort of just an all-around gaming channel. I think he mostly emphasizes in League of Legends content, but he's Rambo River, Rambo River. If you want to go check him out, give him a sub, say, hey, Maelstrom MTG sent you. I can rub that into him forever. But we're going to hop into the deck. There were a lot of cards in Kamigawa that I really wanted to build decks around, but I didn't have the ability to build the decks because, well, I didn't have the ability to record the videos because my software and computers were buggy. But now that I have everything set up, we can hop right into this. We're going to be covering Kamigawa Vengevine. And so the namesake of the deck is Vengevine, which is a 4/3 haster for 4 mana. We're never casting it. We don't have the ability to. It's a mono-red deck, essentially. But it says whenever you cast your second spell in a turn, you're going to be bringing these back from the graveyard to the battlefield, either your second creature spell. So you need to go discard Vengevine. It doesn't have to be in the same turn, but then in a single turn, creature, and you bring all of your Vengevines back to the board, and you can swing in with a bunch of 4/3 hasters. A secondary big beater that we have in the deck is HollowVine, which fits right into the deck. Oh my gosh, it's not hovering. Which says it costs 2 less to cast for each card you've cycled or discarded this turn, and it's a 5-drop, and it's all colorless, so you could potentially get this. If you discard 3 cards in one turn, you drop this for free. And it being something you drop for free sounds nice for Vengevine. The ways that we're going to actually get those cards in our graveyard or discard cards, though, that's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about our engine. We have Burning Inquiry here so that each player draws 3 cards and discards 3 at random. If we have this for a few reasons. One, the main reason is that we can turn one a HollowVine. We can turn one up to 4 HollowVines even. If we turn one, land, Burning Inquiry, draw 3 cards, discard 3 cards, and let's say the 3 cards we discarded were all Vengevines, and then we play HollowVine, then all of the Vengevines come back. That's Magical Christmas Land, but it's to give you an idea of how explosive the deck could be if you get those hands. Burning Inquiry, that's what that does. Goblin Lore is a one-sided version. That's a 2-drop, and it draws you 4 cards, then you discard 3 at random, and it's sort of to try to replace itself in your hand. But that's another way we can get HollowVine for free. Now, the new addition from Kamigawa that makes all of these a little more consistent is Containment Construct. Now, Containment Construct says whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard, and if you do, you can play that card this turn. So what that's going to do is that it's going to make our Burning Inquiry and Goblin Lore hands, our plays, a lot less risky and a lot safer, because when we discard those cards, we can just play them. That includes lands. So we have things that we can discard lands and play them, but we can also, we have cycling built into our mana base already with Forgotten Cave, which is over here. And that's going to be able to just 1 mana cycle it, and then if we have Construct, we can play it. We have a lot of things to gain extra value there, and so it's a very, very nice include to the deck. I considered having it as a 4 of, but 3 really seems like a sweet spot, and you're able to get it only when you need it. Having multiples doesn't help, and I'm very happy with seeing the card how it plays. Other ways we can, we have our 2 spells, but other ways we can discard our Insolent Neonate. It's a discard a card, sack Neonate, draw a card, and so it's also a creature, so we can play this and it'll count as one of our creatures. Our likely the biggest way to cast our Vengevines is Blazing Rootwalla, which is Madness 0. So instead of just hard casting it, don't hard cast this. But if you discard it, you can play it for free. And if you have two of these, when you're discarding, let's say on turn one, you Burning Inquiry, discard your Vengevines, and then you discard Blazing Rootwallas, and then you you cast your Rootwallas, then your Vengevine is going to come back to the field. And then you can swing in for 4 on the first turn. The deck has the potential to have insane turn ones, but the second and third turns being even more consistent makes the deck terrifying for a budget deck. The other payoffs that we have for discard is we have Flameblade Adept as a payoff. Whenever you cycle to discard a card, gets +1/+0 till end of turn. It has Menace, which currently Modern I'm seeing is sort of like a get 1 or 2 big threats out and then win off of that. That's at least my experience. And so the fact that Flameblade Adept has Menace almost gives it unblockable. Another payoff that we get is we get to play Azmarine of Arctic Daestina Coldicard as well as the Underworld Cookbook. Now this card, you can only cast it if you've discarded a card this turn, and it's a 1-drop if you do. Then when it enters, you search out the Underworld Cookbook, and then the cookbook will actually, if we hop over here, discard a card to create a food. Now, if we go back to Construct, we can discard any of the cards in our hand that we would play normally, and then just play it from our graveyard. And so Underworld Cookbook gives us a free token every time. It has another ability, but honestly for this deck, it doesn't matter. It's just about bringing stuff back to your hand. But with Azmarine of Arctic Daestina Coldicard, they have a sack 2 foods, target creature deals 6 damage to itself. And in a deck like this, you really have to condense. The closest you can get to removal outside of what's in this deck is like Fiery Temper. But honestly, it feels bad if you're not able to consistently discard it. And we are, it's just that we wanted creatures. And so for this, we just stuck it in here. It's going to be amazing if you actually play it, because then you're going to get the 6 damage and it'll just keep happening. It'll keep bothering your opponent. Any creature they have will die to it, unless it's like a maxed out Tarmogoyf. And so this is a way to hose down your opponent. Then after that, we have our mana base. It's seriously 15 Mountain, 4 Forgotten Cave. We have no way to hardcast Vengevine, and that's because we don't need to. Before we get into sideboard, really the only weakness that this deck really has is the only weakness is really graveyard hate. It's a graveyard deck. Like that's what you're gonna expect. So you really have to try to outpace your opponent. They might have turn 1 or 2 graveyard hate, and if that's the case, if they pop it immediately, you're safe, because that's gonna you're gonna force them to pop it immediately, and then you're gonna play your stuff. But don't drag it on too long, otherwise they'll do their own game plan. Our sideboard contains graveyard hate for those mirror matches. Well, we're not really expecting mirror matches, but there are a lot of graveyard decks out there. Fewer with the Loris Ban, but Tormod's Crypt is still going to be here for graveyard hate. By Force for mass artifact hate, Pithing Needle for control or activate ability, combo hate, stuff like that. Ancient Grudge is going to be more artifact hate, but it's going to be spot artifact hate. If you wanted, I have Ancient Grudge in here instead of a typical artifact removal spell that's just mono red, because if you wanted to slightly upgrade the deck, then you wouldn't have to change everything, because that way your Ancient Grudge and like almost essentially your entire sideboard can scale into your deck upgrades. That's the reason why there's a green card in the sideboard, a green flashback in the sideboard, is because it's doing what we want it to do, but it's friendlier to upgrading the deck. Cleansing Wildfire is a way that we can get some Tron hate going. Once Luris was banned, I saw Eldrazi Tron in the top 10 decks, and then I was like, great, this is back. So this is a way for us to hate on that, but it's also a way for us to hate on any any pesky lands. Or I actually saw it. My girlfriend's a Merfolk player. I can do this on my own land so that I turn my island into that they turn into an island. I can turn it into any of the other basics in my deck so that I remove Island Walk. Gaia's Blessing, it is a green card. We're mostly using it for anti-mill. You don't need to cast it. It's just going to get milled and it's going to shuffle back. And it does have a little bit of a weird... It has a little bit of a weird effect in our deck, but against mill, we're really wanting to not... We don't want to crumble to mill decks because we're already using the graveyard, so we want to be able to shuffle stuff back in. Ratchet Bomb is going to be our way of dealing with tokens. We don't have access to engineer explosives, so this is our budget version. And then the last version is, the last card is Roiling Vortex. So any Cascade decks, any control decks, is going to be a way to prevent them from gaining life, and it's going to be a way to slowly tick them down. And if they try to free cast through Cascade, they're going to take a massive amount of damage and then probably die to us the next turn. Overall, I am very happy with this deck. I think I'm actually going to pick it up myself, and I actually already have most of the pieces. I'm very excited for the deck to see how it plays against some of the other people I play against in person. But it's a fantastic deck, and if you all decide to build it, I think you'll have a ton of fun. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day, and wow, getting back into recording videos is weird. So bear with me, please. I will catch you all later.